Oh, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And oh my goodness, the man that you see laughing there, he's got the funk. I'm telling you, I got the funk here, but we won't talk about that. This is a man who is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He has an honorary doctorate of music from Berklee College of Music. And amazingly enough, the remade version, let's not talk about virgins, the remade version of the original Mothership is actually in the Smithsonian Institution. This is the man who created Parliament and Funkadelic. Oh my God, so much to talk about with the one, the only George Clinton. Yippee-yi, yippee-oi, yippee-vey, shalom to you. Welcome.
Roof, 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 roof. Boy, I like that. Come on, that was a hip one. I like that.
Thank you ever so much. What a joy to see you. You look fantastic. You look great because you're going to be performing. You're going to be on March 18th at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Here's the question I'm sure you're asked all the time. You're God willing, you look great, 80 years old. Why are you still out there doing shows like this?
It's about the funk.
Well,
you never get enough funk.
True.
I gotta have it. I gotta have it. You know, it's about the funk. So, you know, I try to retire, I try to quit, but every time I turn around, the stage is calling me to funk, so get back out of here. So I'm out here now with my grandkids and the grandkids and kids of the other members of the band. 3GP, we call them third generation P-Funk. You know.
This is so. Now, have you been able to consolidate? Because back in the day, there was George Clinton, there was Parliament, then there was Funkadelic, then you had another band. Can it all be like one thing now under a group?
We call it the Parla Funkadelic Mint Thing.
Okay, all right, hard to.
One word.
Yeah.
One word.
Parla Funkadelic Mint Thing, was it?
Yes.
I like it. I like that you do your thing. If you had, because you are not only so important in your own music, but you've been sampled so much. Do you have a favorite sampling that other artists have done of your work?
That's hard to do because for different reasons you like the samples. I like Public Enemy use of the samples because they arranged them and they use so many. They did it to create a arrangement of a song. Some people use them as a loop to loop it and repeat. And so that's the different style. So like for the loop, I'll say Digital Underground, Humpty Dance, and all of those things. And Tupac, when they was all doing that. Public Enemy, like I said, for the arrangement. But then there's so many other clever samples that, you know, it's hard to pick one.
Now, in terms of your own music, you're still writing and composing. So let me ask you, when you do that, and you sit down either at the piano or a Wurlitzer thing or a guitar, are you just like George Clinton, the guy, or do you have to go into like that Funkenstein-y character to write the stuff that you do?
All different variations of that. You know, some of them is like that. Some of them I do, like they say, freestyle, right in the studio. And then some of the music, all the different musicians, you know, you got a Bernie Worrell, a Bootsy Collin, a Gary Scheider. You can choose David Spratt. You can choose what style you want to do. And then I'll do what kids do. I'll sample myself. That's the new concept, sampling, computer, electronics. I'll sample my record or I'll sample somebody else's record that already sampled me.
Wow. And so chases its own tail in a way. That's actually
yes. Yeah. The dog that chases its tail will be busy.
Well, let me ask you, when you go into the studio, how quote unquote ready is a composition? Do you work on it with lots of sampling at home in your basement or whatever, or then go in, or you just coming like Dylan used to do
again
the lyrics and boom?
Again, depending on if I wrote the song out first, or like a Knee Deep, which already had the song and done. A lot of them, the band grooves, we'll go into a groove on stage and we get a pocket and everybody like it and we like what's going on. I have to remember that, record this part and go in the studio and start with that. and that becomes a new song. We pretty much know the groove gonna work because we've tried it on the stage already, and you just have to make sense of it. Now, if it's a chant, you have to make it make sense by adding more lyrics to it to make it a complete story. Or nowadays you can leave it like that because they write nonsensical. Again, that used to be the thing in the 60s. You wrote this far out lyrics, poetic, metaphors and things. We call it nonsensical. Like when the Beatles was that, it becomes artsy fartsy to do it like that.
Cuckoo-ca-choo. Yeah, exactly. No,
Cuckoo-ca-choo. That's
let me ask you though, did you take because people might, maybe they don't anymore, I'm sure, but back in the day when you were writing not just nonsense but comedy, fun lyrics, did people tell you, oh, we would love you, but you're so scatological, you're the doo-doo and the shit and the thing and the, what do you say to that?
I've succeeded. When they can see it, especially when they say it with a smile on their face, because it's funky. You know what I'm saying? And like having worked in a barbershop, you hear all the varied metaphors for everything. You get all kind of people's opinion about everything and their point of view. And it just depends on if it's the old preacher or the pimp. I say pimp, preachers, and politicians they all got a rap.
And by the way, as a hairstylist, is there anything I can do with these, or I'm basically stuck? It's like
I can do everything but give you a pump.
I don't even want to know. But anyway, but then we're talking, by the way, with truly, I can put this word in front of it, the great George Clinton. So God, so many questions to ask you about the whole UFO idea. There's two stories. I don't know if they're separate or if they were the same, and they're confused in my mind, this idea of what inspired all that UFO stuff. One is that you actually had sort of a sighting of a UFO thing, and another was that you wandered onto the set of a classic old horror movie, the outdoor set.
They're two different stories.
Okay.
We wandered onto a set of a horror movie, was Night of the Living Dead. We was already on tour, and we did wander onto the set of that in Pennsylvania, and we was tripping, of course, and it freaked us out. That was, years later we found out that's what it was, the Night of the Living Dead. We didn't know what it was.
Nobody told you?
We knew it was a movie set.
You knew. Okay.
After we saw the people walking across, scared the shit out of them. We realized the movie, but we didn't know what. Years later we found out that's what it was. The other one was Bootsy and I was in Toronto, and we had an encounter. Whatever it was lights, like a laser from the sky. 3 of them, 1, 2, third one hit the car we were in. And like mercury out of a thermometer, bead up like oil and water. When it hit the car, it beat it and rolled off the side. Street lights went out, was dimming, and we had to drive 10 blocks before we could see street lights again. That happened for real. That was Bootsy and I. We wasn't on drugs. We just come through the border from Canada. So that was our excuse. We couldn't be on drugs then, So we was definitely cool, but we didn't talk about it. It scared the hell out of us. We didn't even bother to talk about it, because years later I realized that.
This was before social media. I mean, did you look for it in the local papers? Did you anything? Nothing.
We didn't even talk about it. It scared the shit out of us so bad. And we had just done the album Mothership Connection. We had already done that.
So that was after. Okay.
Wow. But it hadn't come out yet. We had done it and it hadn't come out yet. It came out like a week, 2 weeks later.
See, if you had a good publicist, they would have tied it to your album.
We didn't tell nobody.
I know. I kid. Let me ask you something, though. We were talking about tripping. I have issues with drug stuff. You did a ton and 10 tons and 50 million tons of drugs. Now, you're a grandpa, a great grandpa, is it? What do you tell, youngins? Don't be like me. What do you say to them?
It's hard to even say anything. I mean, you can hope I do by example, that I can do it, because kids love do what you say don't do.
Right.
No is the greatest aphrodisiac in the world. You know, so
for me, but yeah, I get that. But
you know, and so I have a hard time doing that. I do have thoughts about it. I'd be scared to have to take the stuff that they have to take in this day and time. But I guess that's the way people felt when we were doing psychedelics. They thought the same thing. But the whole country is a medical society. Everything you hear in politics is about my meds, my drugs, my prescription. The whole world is based on that for some reason. And so all you're getting is somebody else's version of it, whether you get it in the street. It's about the money that, you know, the Oxycontin people make. It's all the same, but it just, so I don't know what to tell them. So I don't get into it trying to preach, because I know you can make it worse by doing that. But I try to give an example, but I'd be scared. I'd be scared to do what I did if it was starting right now. Back then, I think Woodstock, the Vietnam War had a lot to do with what was going on. I think that, to me, that was sacred for a minute. Those kids, that whole peace movement ended that war. But when it was over, the drugs part of it was over too. Most people didn't know that. Once Woodstock happened, after Woodstock, it was acid, $20 of this, drug, watch out for the brown one. You never heard that stuff before Woodstock. Once it became money involved, once it used to be you want to share a tab, want to share a joint. After Woodstock is you want to buy a joint. And once that happened, I didn't know it then. It took me 20 years to figure out there was no more acid. It wasn't everything is beautiful no more. It had changed. Once the war was over, it was over.
And then Altamont happened. Do we have just a couple more minutes?
We got one more. They got one more. They calling me now.
Oh my God! Wow! Well, first of all, thank you very, very much, of course. But let me ask you, because related to the drug things, Sly Stone. You guys were great friends.
Still one of my best friends.
How's he doing?
He's doing good. You know, he's chilling out now, and I hope he gets some music out. That's the thing. I'm missing some music. I know he got lots of good stuff, but he's doing good now.
Well, last question for you then, George Clinton. What is the latest song composition that you have written in the past week or two or three? I can see you're busy painting with your hands with the stuff on there, but what about musically?
Ooh Dog. Watch out for that. Ooh Dog.
Ooh Dog. Well,
yeah.
What is it like? Is it a funky?
Obviously? It's gonna be. I tell you what, we got Ben Crump on there, barking. The Q dogs.
Well, my goodness. I know your dogs are barking. You have to go run and do another interview. But my gosh, thank you so much. And please, everybody, go see in New Jersey at the Performing Arts Center, Friday, March 18th. George Clinton! Oh, I am wishing you the funk.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Shalom.
Shalom.